It's Laura. I'm in the midst of like a whole bunch of toys and things. It's Friday night. Single mom. Yeah, I'm home. And I'm gonna create a print repeat tonight. I don't know how many of you are familiar with textile design. I've been on Scope with a bunch of you today, and some of us are textile designers, some of us are aspiring textile designers. I'm LVolpintesta. I'm the founder of Fashion Illustration Tribe. That's my website, and that's my Instagram. I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And that's my name. I'll show you me in a minute. I want to say hi. I'm going to create a print repeat today, and there's a few reasons I want to talk about why I'm doing this. Mostly, I'm doing it because it's freestyle, and it's fun, and it's playful. And if you don't know this technique, you need to know it. It's just wonderful fun to do. But also because I don't know how many of you say, I learned to draw realistically when I was in art school. Let me flip this around a little bit. When I went to design school, I'm like in such a messy place. Okay. But I just want to get personal. But before that, I always doodled. That was my thing. I did abstract little shapes and things, and they brought me great peace. I'd do it when I was on the telephone. I would do it when I was just daydreaming in class, like all the time, doodle, doodle, doodle. But I never knew how to draw anything realistically. But at that time, without even knowing it, I guess I was meditating. You know, I would call that a meditation. Now people call it intuitive drawing, or I think Zen doodling is one of the new words. But through doodling, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes to be these artists. And I do teach all kinds of art skills in my class, design skills, etc. But to simply enjoy creating harmony and balance and beauty. Yay! Hi, Dawn. And I think we've met before on Scopes. Hi. Well, that's a great commitment. I'm proud of you. Because I don't seem to be able to keep a consistent output like that. The best I can do is like post something on Instagram every day. To doodle every day. I'm proud of you. And I wonder if you always do it at the same time. You start your day that way. I imagine that when you do that, hi Daniela. I imagine that when you doodle every morning, thanks for stopping by, that it's actually, they say to start your day with a meditation. I would imagine that when you just see what comes to the surface in the morning, oh, you do it in the evening, which is a totally different approach, right? Because then you're full of the day. I find that I love working in the evening best because when it's dark, I don't have distractions. And in the evening, I go inside and I focus. That's my creative time, definitely. Much so more than in the morning. So what I'm going to show you today is, does anyone here know how to create prints or repeats? This is something really basic that I always dreamed of learning, and I didn't learn till I was older. Yeah, right? Like the night owl, you could be up all night making art. I even prefer making road trips, at night if I'm driving. I just feel that I can focus in the evening, and in the daytime, every little visual thing stimulates in it and distracts me. You're learning. Okay, so this might be, are you a word or a phrase? Do you share those, Dawn, on Instagram or anything? I think that would be really inspiring for a lot of people. All the night owls. I should have done this scope at 2 in the morning. No, I'll be asleep by then. Yeah, because I find that a word or a quote or a phrase can be so inspiring. So I'm going to show you how they do this. And honestly, more than anything, thank you for sharing, Daniela. Thank you so much. More than anything, this is for enjoyment. So we can chat and we can sketch, and you'll see how this unfolds. But I will tell you what the gift of this technique is. One of the gifts is, if you studied drawing before, a great way to test a drawing that you've done is to hold it up to the mirror. When you hold it up to the mirror, you'll see that it feels quite differently. It may look out of balance or inaccurate or something when you look at it in the mirror. And that's because it flips and you don't see things. You see things with what you might draw that looks right. If it doesn't look right when you flip it, you're going to see it quicker than you would otherwise. So this great exercise we're going to create a drawing, and we're constantly going to be cutting into the drawing and rearranging the pieces so that we are constantly forced to see the design elements from a new perspective. And that's really, really cool. Not much of interest for you there. So, and live with them for a few days, yes, and to leave the room, right, Daniela? Walk away and come back as well. You always have great tips and insights about art and design. So here, and I want to know more about your business because I was looking at your profile. Okay, so here is my piece of paper. Okay, it could be any size, any shape. This is just 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and honestly, pink isn't usually my thing. And it's not, you know what I'm gonna do? I was gonna do white on pink, but I'm gonna go with yellow. I want to go real cheerful, okay? And I had brought several kinds of art supplies around. There's a few trolls about, yeah, especially for girls. I think we get more trolls, right? Sheesh. Who's that? Who's that? Doing. I am creating a print repeat. So I have some, and again, this one is not for, you know, like, look at me, this is what I do, fashion designer, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be about pure fun. So here's the thing. A repeating pattern means you create a tile of a decorative print that's going to be able to be, every tile that you lay next to every other tile is going to seamlessly connect to the next one. So I'm going to start right here with a motif. I have no plan, I have no inspiration except, well, I have you guys and I have the joy of drawing. So, but I have a certain approach that I like. I love bold florals and I love geometrics, and I'm just gonna see what happens. To me, I feel like many times they're the same, but that they're also always different. And they have a lot of, to me, it's about energy. It feels good. I'm constantly feeling like balance or dynamic energy. It just feels good. My biggest inspiration when I go to design prints is a big trend now. I love African prints. But the first time I saw them was when I lived in Paris in like 19. Thank you for the hearts, and thank you guys for sharing and giving hearts. I appreciate that so much, so much. Hello, welcome. Feel free to like introduce yourself to people or ask questions or say whatever. Okay, so I'm peeking from time to time at the camera, but not all the time. And I'm just enjoying this process. But the thing is that the motif that I'm going to create, I'm going to keep it in the middle of the page, and I'm not going to touch any of the edges yet. And soon you'll see why. So to me, this is an abstracted sort of a floral. In fact, I'm even going to add some of these kind of floral things. I'm a little bit sorry already that I worked with oil pastel because it's so messy. But again, I'm in this for the fun. I really got to remember to have fun, right? Just let it flow sometime and not always be trying. Okay, so there you go. And I'm just going to do one more thick line here. Now, here's what happens next. And some of you may have seen me do this on scopes before. I love to share this. Thank you. Yeah, you do get a ton of texture from oil pastel anyway, and then playing with different, I like playing with the directions and then having them get cut off and then changing direction. I also like to play with overlapping shapes a lot. To me, it just creates, it's very, I'm a musician, and it's very musical to me to have layers of rhythms. So that's a theme that you'll see come up in my work. So here's the thing. I've just created a motif in the middle of the page, not touching any edges, and I'm going to slice right down the middle. And when you do this step, you do want to get the most straight line that you possibly can, because it will be more effective that way. So you could use a ruler and whatever, because I can see already I did a really icky job cutting, okay? But guess what happens now? Ta-da! Okay, I'm going to tape this. I'm going to tape the back, and I'm going to start creating motif in here. Your family is musical. I sing. I dance and play some percussion as well, but I sing. So I sing Brazilian music mostly. I sing jazz and R&B too. But there are so many amazing musics from Brazil, and that is really, I know like hundreds of songs. I also know hundreds of jazz standards though, so I guess that counts too. I love that. I love it so much, and I also love that I can move and dance to it. There's so much culture attached to it. It's very lively and joyful, and I love that. What do you play? Do you play anything? My brother's a metal guy who also majored in opera, and my mom was a kind of an opera singer. Like, she did opera and art songs, so that was her thing. My dad was a frustrated musician who never really got to do it, but he whistles a lot. He just loves music. Anything you're really, really into lately with music? And secondly, do you get to go out and hear live music much? I would love to know. So now I've created this flowy motif between the motifs. I do realize that if this becomes a repeating print, it's going to have a very long, linear, almost like a band effect. But don't worry, because I know that I can break that up as well. That doesn't have to keep that feeling. Your husband teaches music and your son plays drums and piano. So when you said your family, I had the feeling you meant your birth family, but you're actually talking about your family. That's awesome. And your son, how old's your son? I'm going to do some series of lines here. I could have brought in another color here right now, but I didn't. But you know what? Maybe I will. My son is 14, and he took saxophone for a long time, but recently, 15 and 19. Wow. Wow. My daughter's 15. That's a tricky year. It's been a tricky year for me, but we're getting by. We're getting through. I'm going to add some color here. Oh my gosh, how funny is this? Do you remember on the scope earlier today, Daniela, that Mr. A. Singh came on? I swear this was totally unplanned, but now that I think of it, he was painting for two days. I saw him painting, and the painting he was doing was also, now that I think of it, orange and blue with yellow. And I didn't really realize I was doing that just now, but I did also do orange and blue with yellow. It does feel a lovely surprise. What do you mean, like him stopping by? That was definitely a lovely surprise. Yeah, I was just watching his scope about humanity not long ago, just a few minutes ago, and I'm going to go back to it to catch the rest of it. Oh, what a surprise. I felt so like giddy, because I'm so moved by his positivity, his approach. And to be honest, I think I've only seen his art like once, but the person that he is and what he brings to the table here for all of us, right? So it's so beautiful. I'm very thankful for his presence, and it inspires me to be more of who I am, or who I want to be. I'm not sure if I like this gray, but I've started it, so I'm going to keep going. Realize that whenever you buy a box of crayons or paints or anything, I'll have to look him up. Oh, yes, it's Mr. A. Singh. His name is Amrit, M-A-M-R-I-T, Singh, S-I-N-G-H. Mr. A. Singh. And he just really, really always talking about quotes from mystics and just positivity, love, joy. Really, really nice. Along with being an artist, who's painting and creating art. It has a really big community too. So now I have this, and I'm thinking I'm tempted to make decisions that I'm not sure if I want to, if I should. So I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to show you the next step that I would take. Oh, wait. Inspiration strikes. I don't want to use too many colors. But think about it. When you create a print, you can sort of decide how many colors are going to be in that print. And that may be very deliberate. You know, it may just be 2 or 3 colors. Or it may be unlimited. But when you buy a box of paints or crayons or whatever, those colors, you can mix. But you also, it's good to pay attention to what colors they come with. Because right now I'm only working one color at a time. And that's kind of defining my palette. So whatever's in that box is my palette. I'm sitting on the floor and my legs are all falling asleep. But I want to show you the next step. So, and see how I had folded in half here, remember? So that I would get a seamless transition when I tile this. Like I could photograph this with my iPad and bring it into one of my drawing apps like Adobe Photoshop Sketch app. Pull in the photo several times and tile it out into an all over repeat pattern. But there's more, so don't go anywhere. Okay, first step I had done is I had created this motif. Here's half of it. Here's the other half. See how they join seamlessly, right? Then I sliced right through my motif, joined those edges, and created another motif. Now I'm going to slice perfectly across this way. And the thing is, you're constantly like recreating balance in your page, which I just love that. If you've never done this before and you think you're going to try it, treat me with some hearts because I just think that's so cool when you have a first time. I'm going to cut from this side because it's easier for me to see the line and get a straight line. And I still have a lot of issues personally. Oh, thank you for the heart. Around creating prints on the computer because I always feel like things that get printed out of the computer look so flat. So it's a tricky... Oh, I'm going to turn this way so you can see. So now guess what? I have 2 options here. I can put this here and create some motif in here. Anything that makes design easier is great. I can't imagine another way. Yeah, and I guess, you know, the computer does make it easier for sure. My first job out of college was at Old Navy in 1995. And I remember, you know, working with the print designer. He was able to cut out motif, just move things around and toss and blah, blah, blah. So many great things. But I'm so obsessed with the tactile. I mean, this is almost too messy for me with a little glops of oil pastel. But anyway, now I have this hands-on techniques are great, aren't they? I think, you know, to have that balance of both, I guess. Thanks for coming on. Hello, hello, Paul. So honestly, I am loving this the way it is now. If I could, I would just take a picture right now. Do you think, yeah. And I don't know, maybe, are you a Virgo? I'm an earth sign. I blame that for everything. You know, that's why I like to work with my hands. But I also think it's just, especially now more than ever, we have a little bit of a craving for the handmade in a world of machine-made things. Now, here's the trick. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, we have a trick here. This repeat, if I do it as is, this motif will always line up. When the tiles repeat, they're always going to line up in an even grid. So there's going to be sort of a squareness to my pattern. But there's something I can do. I can do what's called a half drop repeat, which would be, do you see how they toss, how they alternate? Okay, that's like an advanced, one more step advanced, because I could just draw here and create whatever and have this square grid of this flower or whatever. But what I'm going to do, I've decided I'm going to scooch over. All right, is that like the final mind blower? Isn't that fun? I'm going to cut again. Oops. I waited for this knowledge like all my life. But when I finally learned it in a print design book, which I should have it on hand to show you guys so I can recommend it. But do you see what you've got now? Okay, so I'm going to go flip it over to tape it. And I still don't have an idea yet for what I'm doing in between, which is, you know, partly gives me like a, fascinating process. Yay! Have you been on the whole time? Hi, Dawn. Yes. Isn't it a wonderful process? I adore this process. And because even if you don't want to be a print designer or a fashion designer or anything, if you're looking for a meditation, you know, this is a beautiful one. Just, now I'm going to tape across the line here so I can get my seamless right there. Seamless across. Yes, can you see? Okay, this is you have connection. What? Oh, I missed that. I saw the word connection, so it's making me think. Whenever I see the word connection on Periscope, it's usually someone having trouble with the internet. But I think it might have been something else. I would love to know what you said if you get to share it with me again. I'm sorry I missed it. I was getting tangled up in the tape. So here's my next. And the one thing you won't get to see until I either, you know, photocopy this or pull it into my iPad is you won't get to see the overall repeat. I love huge prints. I'm so happy with this right now that I'm literally frightened to draw on it. But I'm going to. I just had an idea for some kind of like almost like a rope kind of motif. I had connection issues. If it's Periscope, it must be a connection issue. And it very well may be, you know, from my end. Thanks for staying on with us. Staying on with me. I appreciate it. I always press too hard. I just love things to be very bold and dark. I think that's why. Or maybe I'm just a control freak. Here we go. I like overlapping and intersecting directions. I had mentioned that. So I'm kind of doing that again. It's almost like feeling like these chain or ropey effects are. First visit, what are we doing? So I'm a fashion designer, fashion illustrator who has an online fashion course that I like to talk about fashion related things here to kind of promote and share about my business. But what I'm doing here is just creating a print design that repeats. So what happens is the process, if you catch on the replay, is not that complex of a process, but this pattern will, how do I explain it, guys, right? This piece matches that piece. Hang on. All right, wait, you do this? Wait, I can't see your name. Love Beyond Walls. Oh, I do this. You do this. Print repeat, right? So, and then these match. Whoops, sorry, I got off camera. Hi, Cassandra. How are you? And then how the top and bottom, they don't match because what we did is we created a half drop repeat, which means that these two pieces match with this way. What happens, you get a tossed arrangement, a half drop. Good, dear. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Just creating this pattern. And actually in the very last, not in the very last step, I forgot. What I'm going to do is I create motifs here, but they won't match on this side until I cut down the center and split it one more time. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. And I'm doing this today with the reminder that every time you have to cut through your drawing and replace it, it gives you kind of like have to re-achieve balance or like re-approach the beauty on that page. And that I love that it's extremely playful. It's a great way to draw and then separate yourself from that drawing by cutting straight into it and then have to reconnect with it again. These are oil pastels, and I love them so much because they are more rich and bright than crayons. I feel like crayons are never as bright as I want them to be. What I don't like about oil pastels is they're very crumbly. I mean, you can see if I hold the paper sideways, you can probably see like, oh, you can't, crumbles of glops of color. But again, I was setting out to do this for fun. So it's fine. There's other brands of bright crayons you can get too. Not just oil pastels that work for that. Thank you for your support. This is very much inspired by African prints, guys. Thank you for the hearts. I love to see those hearts, you know. And they look so nice with the art too. Thank you so much. I so much appreciate that. It means a lot to me to be able to reach out, reach people, share what I do. Thank you, Daniela. Thanks for staying with me. I'm so moved. Makes me so happy. Now, do you see what's happening with the print? Okay, so that's what I was saying is I love how it gives me the opportunity to reconnect with my drawing. Every time I cut it, it changes. Okay. Not only that, when this is done and I take a nice photocopy or photo of it and either tape the photocopies together or pull the photo into an app where I can take this page and pull it into my app like 5 or 6 times and show how the tile plays out. Oh, man. In fact, I'm going to do it on the scope tonight. I'm going to do it. I'm going to print it in black and white. You're going to see this overall print fabric. It's amazing emotion. So, again, you get to keep revisiting your art in a way that it's constantly evolving out of your hands. So, like, every time I slice this and put it back together, I'm a little bit surprised. And then when I copy it and join them all together, I'm surprised again. And it's nice to be surprised by your own thing. Isn't it, Daniela? It's so fun to do that, to see that. And again, I try to feel the music in it too. Thanks, sweetheart. Thank you so much for support. And if you think of anyone later, you know, who's like into this kind of thing, feel free to share the info. This is one of my favorite things to share, and I think I'm going to just do it a lot on scopes because it's just a really great way to improvise and meditate and enjoy. Now, I was considering, I'm going to ask you guys, taking this like helix here. Hello, the hunch. I was going to maybe use a different color to create a diagonal interest, but I don't think I will. Honestly, I've never been doing this. Like, I'm a fashion designer, fashion illustrator, and I also teach and do sewing, pattern making, draping, all that stuff. I'm not a print designer, but I've always loved print. I've been obsessed with African print since 1992. Aww. Yes. Dawn. Intuitive creativity. You know, just feeling it from moment to moment. Finally, you know, losing yourself and letting one line bring you to the next line, right? Getting dirty. The thing is that I learned this technique, though, as far as creating a repeat. I took a print design class, when I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I was so sleepy that I stopped attending it after a few weeks and never completed the course. 20 years later, 14 years later, I bought a book called The Field Guide to Fabric Design, Print Pattern Design. I should have it here. I love to give credit to the author, so it's actually sad to me that I'm not able to tell you right now, but I simply do not have it in my head right now because I'm in a different place in my head. And so that's when I learned to do this technique in the book. I'm a little tempted to leave this one different than all the others. I could always change it later, Whereas if I did them all the same, you just started doing designs a few months ago. You used to do it a lot when you were younger. Really? Oh my gosh, it must be so exciting to come back to something from your youth, right? It must feel wonderful to reconnect with something that you always did. Contrast, yes. Do you teach DGD, Daniela? Because you have such a, I'm sorry, my eyes are so bad. Love Beyond the Walls. I think we've met before. Love Beyond the Walls. My eyes are so not good at seeing the names on Periscope when they're like, what do you call it? Gray and tiny. I also studied I'm a doula. Like I studied to help women in childbirth, and I always think of it when I do something like this, how the part of your brain that you use for some things, like creating art, is not the same part of the brain that you use, or giving birth, the same one that you use to like count or make sure your camera's working, or even to explain something. It's a different part of the brain. So it can be really hard to straddle both, right? Or like holding your camera in one hand while you draw with the other. Those are all really tricky experiences. Used to teach design students graphic design and drawing for 25 years. Hello. That makes sense. You just tell by your language and everything. I'm like, oh man, she either teaches or should teach or loved being a student. The words just flow. It's great, Daniela. And now you work with branding, design. I was trying to read your bio. I'd love to know more about what you do. And I forgot to turn this way and see how this looks as a vertical. Oh, yeah. That's the Periscope roller coaster. Well, I'm touched and happy that you keep coming back. It's very sweet. And I really see this pattern this way, but when I turned it this way, I got like another perspective. It doesn't really fit on the camera screen so well, but it becomes a very diagonal look this way. Oh, you did? Yeah. I was so, honestly, as a teenager, really, really got obsessed with fashion. You know what I was going to do? I was going to take a photocopy of this and glue it all together into repeat for you guys. Not glue, but you know what I mean. But I remember that I'm low on ink, and my kids need to print papers. So I feel like I really shouldn't do that until I get more ink. So that was my print repeat that I won't get to show you it in repeat until I take it into my iPad and do some magic. But it was a lot of fun. Fun. They're really pretty, right? So you mean like one like this one? So it could be scanned and cleaned up. Anyone who's a textile designer, feel free to pipe in and share your expertise with that. Because you could either work with a technician or figure out your way to, this could be cut into a block print. Something like this, I think, could be cut into a block. I don't know. It's definitely an infinitely repeating pattern. But like I said, this particular scope is more for creativity. I could tell you how to make the dress that you're going to use the fabric on, how to sketch it, how to make it, how to illustrate it. But I don't know how I could specifically turn this into a print yet. I would have to hire people to help me do that. But I know it would work. And I could test out what it's going to look like by copying it into pieces. Yeah, I wish someone else could pipe in on that one, how I can make this into a print pattern. But you guys are my Friday night date, so thanks for joining me in the midst of getting a moment to myself. It does look African, right? I can't help it. And now I see that becomes become very much an explosive trend now. But this has been, when I moved to Paris in 1992, I had never seen Well, no, I sang in a gospel choir. We had kente, like bow ties that we wore with our robe, not with bow ties, like these little neck things. But that's all I had ever seen. But when I got to Paris and saw the African prince, hang on. Thank you so much. I enjoyed so here, and it just, you're all a part of it. When we do it together like this, it's yeah, this sense of the pop comes from layers. Like I feel like this layer looks like it's on top design wise because it overlaps this layer, right? So you get these energies that intersect and overlap and collide, and that gives me a lot of joy and energy. It just makes me feel good, 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 good. And I think that should be the foundation of what we do, you know? Something that feels good for us and serves all those around us too. Hurting no one. Yeah. Okay, so peace, love. Thanks for joining me in my pajamas on a Saturday night. And oh, let me just share this info really quick before we go. I'll get to scope again and show you when we put that into repeat. And that's me. If you want to learn basic model drawing, there's a free course on my website when you subscribe. Oh, really? Now, wait a minute. Draw your letters. You mean like, let me just make sure that we're following. I'm not following you, but I've met you before. I don't know if you scope. I'd love to see what you mean. Thank you, Love Beyond the Walls. Are you guys on Instagram? I'm Fashion Illustration Tribe. If you could post your names here, I'd love to follow you and take a look at your feeds. Instagram is one of my favorite places to hang out. So let me know. Feel free to share with the group here. And otherwise, I hope I'll see you here again soon. I also have a full 16-week fashion program based on the classes I teach at Parsons. That is, hi love, welcome back. I was just saying to share your Insta if you want here so we can see each other's feeds. I'd love to see what you do. And Dawn, I'd love to see your overlapping letters, etc. Thank you, Daniela. Thanks for staying and joining and participating in this conversation. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. It's a big treat.